At Primary Residential Mortgage, you can purchase a new home with a low interest rate and a small down payment for less than you're paying in rent. Primary Residential Mortgage, the home of the American dream.
Hey, it's Steve from Doing a Local. I'm here with Assistant Fire Chief Tracy, who was the safety officer during the fire at the lumberyard. And we're going to take a look at some drone footage that our friend Keith from Firegrounds Image took and see how the drone assisted the firefighters during the fire.
Keith Muratori from Fireground Images has been very helpful over the years. He's a firefighter out of Bridgeport, but also a very excellent photographer. So he has a drone now, and he brought it to this fire. He had it over at a major fire in Seaview Ave in Bridgeport a year ago that the incident commander here, Eric Caliper, and I both were at as well. So here you can see, as we're rising up above the northern end, the unburned end of the building, and coming over eastward, looking down on the burning, basically the burn through, and you can see some collapse in the roof. And the great thing about this was what we're looking at here, the incident commander was able to look at the command board, watch where his lines were effective, watch where collapse zones might have proved hazardous to firefighters. This was an unoccupied building. We were essentially considering it a major risk with minimal advantage of being able to put people inside. There was not much gained by that. So we've got master streams set up. Chief Caliper had the ladder 1 from Bridgeport that happened to be around the corner at the Barf Mass. You saw them overhead as you were coming. And then our ladder in the rear set up alongside engine 4. We needed to get multiple water supplies, so coming down Thorpe Street, that supplied the initial attack on the east side of the building. But we also wound up having to breach the fence line and get a hose supply line through Bungalow and supply the rear portion of the C side, as we call it. So we're sliding across the top of the building from A to C side. We're seeing a little bit of smoke over here, and that gave us an idea that this upper mezzanine, which you couldn't actually see and without getting inside the building couldn't access, was starting to have radiant heat or possibly breakthrough, extend this fire. Now we're coming back eastward toward the main area on the left. You can see where the command post was, and engine 2, engine 1, and Bridgeport's ladder 11, beg your pardon. Ladder 10 and engine 10 were out staged in case we needed them out of Bridgeport. So we're again coming across engine 2, engine 1, ladder 11, sliding across the upper portion, seeing where there's much more collapse now, much more extension of fire as we're pushing on that fire with the hose streams. There's so much volume. It's an old lumber mill, and there's so much heavy timber that's a tremendous fire load, and again, very little in terms of occupancy to save. So you risk a lot to save a lot. In this case, there's no one inside. We're going to try and keep our people at the perimeter and keep those master streamlines conducting an exterior attack. There's the fire line, the master stream coming down from the ladder pipe on, I believe that was ladder 2 in the rear. We're now looking again from the, I'm going to say, north side of the building, and now looking across west. You get a really good view, and you can see why that drone is so effective. Keith was able to give the incident commander a real-time live view of the activity going on, the people that were perhaps in harm's way, the exposures we were looking to protect with these cars, the fact that initial arriving engines rolled up tight to try and get at that rear building and wound up having to be repositioned mid-fire as it extended. All those things happened largely because of the intelligence that was provided by this drone. It's a perfect example of why the Fairfield County Hazmat team and the FieldCom unit through Emergency Support Function 2 was grateful to the Fairfield Road Race and Steve Lobdell, who runs it, a retired captain of the Fairfield Fire Department, because they donated from their proceeds a drone to the team. And we now have the ability, just like here, to get up over, see the fire progression, see the effectiveness of hose streams and where maybe they should be repositioned. If this were a hazmat, see a cloud, see access points, see penetrations, perhaps see roof units where it might be hazards to people inside operating. You've got the the real-time view of where the hose stream is going and how you might be able to redirect to the crews operating very distal, hundreds of feet away and on the other side of the building. But you're able to see it, and you can see those collapses continuing, the amount of fire. So again, whether this was a fire, as we had here on Thorpe Street 2 nights ago, and we're still over there now fighting spot fires, whether this was Seaview Avenue and the major hazmat / fire that we had a year ago in Bridgeport, whether this was a hazmat incident such as we had over on Commerce Drive with 3N Plus several years ago, or it could be a boater in the water. It could be someone in the open spaces that we have, the Gator that we have, or the Polaris out of Southport, operating, trying to find someone. Well, if there are any signs that we could see from the drone, that's going to help us. There's a higher technology where you've got actually thermal imaging, and you can see a heat source. So you can imagine with a boater or a person in open space how that could be effective. But again, we had all hands working department-wide, and to be able to watch that video and use fireground images and Keith's live drone footage as we were operating was a tremendous safety, suppression, operational asset. It's something that we can't say enough for. And as I said, we've used Keith's images earlier from Fireground Images in developing the after action and sometimes the investigation stage of some of our fires over the years.